When setting out to create this video, I had two things in mind. One was I wanted to be able to create a beat that had a melodic element, a sound effect, and drums by just pushing one button. Let's push a button and see what it sounds like. Not very interesting, but I did accomplish the goal. All I have to do is hit one key and I get a very simple basic beat. The second goal is when things start getting interesting. That goal was to be able to sequence everything using nothing but LFOs. Let me show you how everything works. This is the main bus that is controlling all the elements. I have one with the melody, I have another one controlling the kick drum, the hi-hat, and the sound effect, and the third one is just a snare. If we flip it over, you see it's just running into a mixer and out. First, let's check out how I sequence the melody. Let's unplug these first two, and let's go to the melody module. You can see that I have three oscillators, and each one is controlled by a different LFO at a different rate. To get to the very root of the sound, let's unplug all three of the pitches. Right now, it sounds like this. The first LFO is set to a square wave at this rate, and it has a sawtooth oscillator. Let's plug it in and hear how it sounds. Pretty video gamey. The second LFO is also set to a square wave at a slightly slower rate, controlling a square wave oscillator. Let's plug this in and hear how it sounds. A little bit more high pitch, but still video gamey. The third LFO is controlled by a square wave, and it is set at a faster rate than the other two. It is controlling a sawtooth oscillator. Now let's plug this in and hear how it sounds. You'll notice that all three of the LFOs have a different setting for their attenuator. This controls the amount of modulation that it's doing to the pitch. Let's plug in all three of these and hear how it sounds. Not that bad considering the fact that it's all being controlled with the LFOs. Let's go back to our main bus and unplug the melody, and we'll go into the second module bus, which is controlling the kick drum, the hi-hat, and the sound effect. This LFO is controlling this oscillator, which is producing the kick drum. The yellow cord is controlling the speed at which the kick hits, and the blue cord is controlling the pitch modulation, which gives it that knock at the beginning. Let's unplug these and hear how the kick drum sounds by itself. The top LFO is set to a sawtooth, and it's going twice as fast as the kick drum's LFO. So it's not only hitting on each beat, but also in between. We have white noise plugged into the mixer, and the LFO is controlling the modulation, which is the speed. Let's hear how that sounds. This bottom LFO is controlling the sound effect. It is set to a sawtooth at a very slow rate, which hits only once every bar. The LFO is being routed into the note and the modulation of the sub-oscillator. Let's plug it in and hear how it sounds. The setting of the attenuator controls how high the frequency will go up. Let's turn it up and see how the difference is. All three together sound like this. Our third bus is simply just controlling the snare. This is where things get a little bit confusing for me. On my own, I wasn't able to figure out how I can get the snare to start on the second beat of each bar so it would hit on the 2 and the 4. So I reached out to Single Cell Software, and someone that was knowledgeable with the modular synth helped me with this. They used two LFOs, one at a square and one at a sawtooth, and they ran it through a pan module, and somehow it was able to start on the 2 instead of the 1. Once again, I don't know exactly how this works, so I'm not able to explain it in full detail for you. It sounds like this. So this is how I was able to make a one-button drop controlling everything with LFOs. Cue the one-button drop.